Well, this work was started by a lawyer, a corporate lawyer actually, who was compelled to integrate his faith as a Christian and his practice as a lawyer. And he saw that mainly being by serving the poor, serving those who could least afford his services. And he got involved in this kind of work by first of all showing up at homeless shelters and soup kitchens 30 years ago. And out of that work, he saw the need for lawyers. People needed lawyers. So his idea of creating this work, and certainly my idea in coming to this work, was a call to faith, a calling out of my faith as a Christian to serve the poor. Our work has never been about evangelism. Our work in the last 20 years has encompassed people of many faiths, both at the staff level, at the board level, and the client level. But many of us see this work initially and still today as a way of integrating a commitment as a person of faith, a commitment for me as a Christian to serve the poor. I believe that we are creating the beloved community in our work. I believe that we are serving God by loving our neighbor as ourselves in this work, in a unique way of practicing law. And for many people who come here, they believe that. But the nice part about this work is you don't have to believe that. We're not doctrinally committed, if you will. We're not faith per se oriented, but the work and its origins hold that, and it continues to hold that for those of us who come at it. And for me, this is why I got here. This is why I'm here, is my sense of calling, my sense of faith, and my sense of having let my vocation and avocation, my training and my calling come together, and listen to that call as a person of faith and as a lawyer. As lawyers, we often forget that we have a lot of power. I was giving a talk to some group recently, law school lawyers, I can't remember both, and I asked people to raise their hand. I said, how many of you think you have power? How many think of yourselves as powerful? And very few people raised their hand. And I use that, I said, well, that's the starting point, first of all. Let me tell you a story about when I was having dinner with one of our clients' wives. He'd just gotten out of prison after 8 years, and we have our dinners, and she was sitting beside me, and she made the potato salad. Her name was Margie, and Margie makes great potato salad. And she was sitting beside me, and she kept going, I looked over at her, and she didn't say anything, and she took another bite of the potato salad, and she said, And then the third time she did it, she went, And I said, Margie, I said, what is it? I said, I know your potato salad is good, but it's not that good, is it? She said, no, it's not the potato salad. She said, I'm having dinner with a lawyer. And that was years ago. And it was just one of those reminders to me that just me being present with somebody who is poor, who is cut off, somebody who was a domestic worker in a rich side of town and still is, that being a lawyer and sitting next to her and sharing a meal and breaking bread elevated her in a way, not because of who I was, it's nothing about me, but it's my position in society as a lawyer. So many lawyers forget that we have power, that we encompass power, that we represent power, we represent the structure. And the opportunity, the real opportunity with that power is to lay it at the feet of those people we serve. And to not hold that power for ourselves, and not hold that power for the benefit of us or folks like us, but to lay it down and let that power transform those we're around, especially those who are cut off from power, especially those who are powerless, and especially those who've never tasted what we've tasted in some things in life. So I believe that's a great opportunity for lawyers, is to use that power that is so inherent in a bar card, is so inherent in being in law school, because it's there. If some soon-to-be law student were coming to me and saying, thinking about going to law school, and they asked for my advice or my input, and the first question I ask is why? Why are you going to law school? What is it about the law? What is it about the practice? What is it about the profession that's attracting you? A lot of people I've been working with students for years and years is that a lot of folks go to law school, in large part like me. I grew up poor, and law school was a way out. Law school was a ticket out of poverty. Law school was a ticket to power and influence. It's a ticket to wealth, the perception of wealth. So people are attracted to law school for lots of reasons. Some people say they go to law school because they like to argue, which is fine too. But I like to get at why they're going. And to the extent that somebody has had a groundedness in service, that they have a groundedness in equity, that they have a conception of justice that is propelling them down this track, I like to really talk to those folks and say, remember why you're going to law school then. Remember you're going to law school to hold on to or to grow a conception of justice, to empower and personalize justice in the world. Because law school will eat you up, as we all know. And more than just the work, it wasn't the work that was hard for, not hard, it's hard for folks. It's the values or the lack of values. I spoke to actually law students this week at a gathering of the state bar, and I said to them, mainly coming from a criminal defense lawyer perspective, I said, the problem with the practice in the criminal defense community isn't the institutions you're working at now in public defender offices or private bars. The problem with the institution of the practice is what you've already gotten from law school, because you've gotten trained to think that the facts matter, that the law matters, and all that's the most real thing you'll encounter. I said the most real thing you'll encounter is the people you serve. And so that lack of humanity that gets stripped from you, the elevation of the law, the idolization of the law, and the tools of the law are what really do people in, I think. So folks walk in, whether they're very clear why they're there or they're not clear at all, and they get sort of bought into, they get sort of pulled into a value system and a structure, even if they're going to go out and serve the poor in an area that's very close to our kind of work. They get bought into an objectification of the people they serve. And this really a myth that the law is somehow more real than the people they're serving. So when I talk to law students or would-be law students, I really encourage them to find out why they're going to do that. And to the extent they have an idea of it, to hold on to that idea really strongly. To the extent that they don't have an idea, to be very concerned and aware of how the valuelessness, often, of law school can pull people into a very a dark place. When I first started doing this work full-time 18 years ago, there were only 2 of us, maybe 3 in the office, very small staff. One part-time counselor, the founder, who's a lawyer, of course, myself. And I would walk into court, and we would try to do what we do, and not just representing our clients, but being with our clients, and really representing a different reality. I often have said from the beginning of this work, for me, it's been representing a different reality inside the criminal justice system. A different reality both for our clients, a different reality for the prosecutor, a different reality for the judge, a different reality for the probation officers, a different reality for the prison folks, a different reality for the policemen and the policewomen. People would often look at us and just sort of shake their heads. And they say, well, that sounds like an interesting idea, but how the heck do you pull that off? Or what are you all doing? What's really interesting about I think, cultural evolution is that the idea of what we're doing now makes total sense to people. People say, well, that makes sense. Yeah, because the criminal justice system is broke. It chews people up. It creates very few alternatives. But this idea and this reality, the reality of our work, not just the idea of the work, wouldn't be here if mainly our founder and others hadn't really stuck it out. If people hadn't had a vision of what things could be and held on to that vision. So when I think about the reaction that we got early in this work to the reaction we get now, and I think, well, how did that happen? How is it now that the groups around the country are either, doing part of what we do, that there are public defender offices that are embracing a holistic approach to criminal justice, that serving the poor even on the civil side, there's all these bubblings up of a different way of approaching, not just the practice of law, and not just poor folk, but the way of just being in the world. And I'm just reminded of the power of conviction, the power of sticking with it. Not just having an idea, but your willingness to put down some skin in that conviction and stick with it and do it. And this isn't about me. This is about, I think about our founder. And I think about really the power of an idea fleshed out, the power of an idea lived out. That's very humbling in many ways. And I think, I don't know if I would have had that much conviction to stick with it if it weren't for folks around here or our founder or other people. So I guess an encouraging thing to me is that I just think about the different realities that we don't even know about right now. The different ways that folks are thinking about approaching the law, approaching their community, that will be absolutely revolutionary, that we can't even hold in our heads right now, but that will really change communities and lives, and possibly the entire world. So that's what I think about sometimes when I think about the power of the work. It's not just in the work and in the lives that we hope to change. It's in the power of being committed to making a difference and letting a creative spirit flow into even something as difficult and stiff as the practice of law, and letting that flourish into a new kind of reality.